Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Patty Ballesteros, a proud UIC alumna and chair of the UIC Alumni Board Alumni Career Services Committee. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this UIC Alumni Exchange program. The UIC Alumni Exchange program it's a series that began in 2020 to bring our alumni and friends programs and topics so you can explore and connect with a community of UIC alumni, staff, and faculty experts. A few housekeeping items before we get started. All participants are muted, but we encourage you to keep your cameras on. If you have questions throughout, please put them in the chat box and we'll get to as many as possible. Please be aware that this is being recorded. You will also receive a 30-second survey after the presentation. Please let us know your thoughts so we can continue bringing you great content like this. And with that, I'm excited to begin today's program. AI isn't the future. It's already reshaping how we work, grow, and advance in our careers. Today, UIC alumna and certified career coach Hallie Crawford will share practical ways to use AI to your advantage, whether you're pursuing a new opportunities or future proofing your role. A nationally recognized expert and founder of Create Your Career Path Career Coaching, Hallie brings over 20 years of experience helping people build meaningful careers. Please join me in welcoming Hallie Crawford.
Thank you, Patty. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. This is a hot topic. We have a lot of people registered, and understandably, it's a very hot topic on a lot of people's minds. So I'm very excited to be here with you all today. I'll pull up our next and kind of intro topic slide here for a second, do a very brief kind of additional intro to me, and continue on. But it was funny because when I was writing up the description for this topic, which is something that we work with our clients on all the time, I was like, adapt to and adopt AI. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, but it makes sense for what we're going to be talking about today because regardless of what industry or role or job you are in, we all need to learn, at least to a certain extent, how to adapt to AI because it's here. And as I think we all know and understand, it's not going anywhere. And we want to make sure that we're adopting it inside of our roles and our workplace in the right way so that we can use it in a way that makes sense for our situation, et cetera. And I'm a very proud UIC alum. So, just by way of additional quick intro, I've been coaching and training since 2002. I'm still able to cover up some of the gray hair, but I think that's going to not be able to happen anymore pretty soon. My undergrad degree is from Vanderbilt, and my master's degree is from UIC. And I actually worked at the university for several years and lived in Chicago for a long time. The advice that we're going to give you all today is advice that we give to all of our clients. And we've got a fantastic team of certified career coaches and resume writers who support our clients through our individual coaching services that we do. Now, one of the things that I did want to mention, kind of admin wise, and then we'll keep going and I'll show you our agenda here in just a second too, is a reminder that we are recording today and you will receive a copy of that recording. We also are happy to provide our slides to you as well. I will have a QR code coming up in the next couple of slides. And we've also included in our follow-up email to everyone, there will be a link to those slides as well. The reason why I bring this up is I don't want you to feel like you have to frantically write everything down. I'd love for this to be interactive. So do me a favor if you could locate the chat box as people are starting to already put in their location, et cetera. That's fantastic. But I'm happy to answer questions along the way, and we will have time for Q&A at the end. So in an ideal world, and we're going to ask about this at the end actually too, if you can choose one action step that makes the most sense for you with AI, even if it's like sticking your toe in the water, something simple, we want you to walk away today with something specific that you will commit to doing in terms of leveraging AI. So let's talk about the impact for just a second. I think we all know about it. However, we want you to think about AI as a tool that you can use for so many different purposes as it relates to your career, whether it's professional development, whether some of you are job searching, all leadership, all different types of topics that you can leverage it for. And if you look at this next slide, the main one that most people are starting to use it for, understandably, is being more productive and efficient with their time. But leaders and people who are in management roles can also leverage it to get ideas about how to get their team to perform more effectively and efficiently, et cetera. There's lots of different things that you can ask. You can also leverage AI and tools there for career advancement and helping you. For example, can you help me draft up a long-term strategic career plan for the next 5 years based on the role that I'm in now? Now, as we talk today, we're going to remind you that AI is not always right. We need to be careful with it, all of that other good stuff, but you can get some great ideas. It can help you with skill requirements and things that you need to upgrade and improve, hiring processes if you're in HR or know someone who is, and also for resume screening. So lots of different ways that we can leverage it. So please know that it's not just for one type of role that you're in or one type of situation. It's kind of like a thought partner, if you will. It's almost like someone that you can ask, bounce ideas off of, get additional ideas, et cetera. And as we're going to talk about today, you always have to verify all that other good stuff. So let's look at our agenda for today. So key number one, we are going to talk first about common fears and issues that people tend to have with AI. They're completely understandable. We hear great things about it, and then we hear scary things on the news. It's going to take over the world. Ha ha. We're not, going in that direction. But the point is that we completely understand, and you're not alone if this is something that you are kind of concerned about sticking your toe in the water or want to be smart about it, because we want you to be wise in your use of it, which is part of what we'll talk about today. Key number two is practical ways to use it effectively and correctly. And key number three is to start to develop a plan of action for yourself, how to start incorporating it into your regular workday. You'll see here on this slide here, if you want to pop open your phone, you can scan the QR code for the slides. Let me know if you have any trouble with the QR code, and I'll grab the link and I'll get that in the chat box. Um, as I said earlier, we're going to do questions throughout and comments as well. So please go ahead and put things in the chat box, and we will have time for those at the end too. But what we're looking for here is for you to start to incorporate it into your daily work life in a way that makes sense for you, that you're comfortable with, that your organization is okay with, that you're maintaining confidentiality and paying attention to all of the other things that we do need to be careful about. And I saw that there was someone that just made a comment. So let me just say that there. Oh, and let me see if I can bear with me one second. I'm going to see if I can grab the slides link right here, and I'll put that in there. Understandable that it's a little bit scary. That you don't know if it's going to give you the right information, et cetera. So we want you to encourage you to use it. No, that was the wrong one I put in there. Sorry. I'll get the link to the slides in just a moment. Other people, yes, don't necessarily verify what they put in there and what comes back out again. So on your side, you need to always verify when you are using AI and ChatGPT, et cetera, whichever one you prefer to use. You want to make sure you go into, okay, where did it get this information, and double check it using Google and other different like browsers and search engines, if you will. That's how you can verify if it's actually right or not. And so you do have to, per what is being said in the chat, you have to keep the human in the middle reviewing things, because you don't know if the information is going to be accurate, et cetera. And we always need to have that kind of critical thinking in the middle as well. So let's talk about these for just a moment here, because these are completely understandable. And we want you to consider them in your use of AI. We don't want you to say, well, I'm not going to use it at all necessarily, but I'm going to make sure that everything, the ways that I'm using it is in the right way. So, number one on the left-hand side, is it going to replace my job? No, it is not. It's going to help make your job more or can more effective, efficient, again, if used in the right way. What I will say about this is people who are not starting to use AI, again, depending on industry and role, et cetera, those people who know how to use it are going to be the preferred candidates for jobs. And demonstrating that you do know how to leverage it in the right way, again, for your industry and role is going to be important. So it's not going to take your job away, but people who know how to use it really well are going to be the people that stay in their roles longer, get hired, et cetera. Another fear or concern, understandable, is will my skills become obsolete? Absolutely not, because we still need that critical thinking, as we've said. It's more about using AI to like help you be more efficient with your time, generate new ideas, etc. But that does not or is not going to take the place of the critical thinking that needs to happen by a human, again, regardless of what you do. Don't worry if you're already behind, because please know that employers are not telling people and professionals like, well, you have to know how to use this inside and out all day long. We're not at that point at all. So even if you feel like you're a little bit already behind, it's easy to start practicing with this and kind of incorporating it into your daily life. And in terms of keeping up with the changes, you can start small and kind of take baby steps with it. Okay. So we're going to launch our first poll here if we could. And just remember two things. One, on the right-hand side as we're doing our poll, and let me just move this over to the other side here. And I'm going to see if I can grab the slides link too. That remember, like, the workplace has changed over time with the Industrial Revolution. Yes, I know that was a long time ago, but you get what I'm saying. Like, technology has changed things, but it's about being adaptable and making sure that you know how to adapt to it. Again, this fear that it's going to take over your job is not going to help. You want to say to yourself, okay, how do I make sure that I'm staying relevant in what I need to do? Do I need to adjust or shift focus just a little bit? How do I learn how to use it in the right way for my industry and for my role? That is the goal here. Okay. All right, so let me get the link here and see if this one will work. And I apologize, sometimes our QR codes, again, technology doesn't always work, and that's what we have to be mindful of. We'll give you another second to complete the poll. And then do me a favor, everybody, and I'm going to put the slides link in the chat. Let me know if that works, because hopefully that link will do it for us. All right. So we've got using it regularly, experimented with it, which is totally understandable. And some people might say, I rarely or never use it. Let's take a look at our results. So great that we've got a lot of people who are using it regularly. So a lot of people today at least are comfortable or, in that place, which is fantastic. That's good. It's normal if you're in the experimented side. I feel like I am kind of in between the two, honestly. Like I do use it regularly, but I do not feel like an expert by any means. And I don't know about you all, but I sometimes forget to use it. I'm like, oh, right, I could use this as a tool. And it's not always my first, go-to. And then understandable as well if you're rarely or never using it. Again, like we said, we want you to be careful about it. But what you can do, and let's look at this next slide, is you can say to yourself, okay, how can I take baby steps here and incorporate it into my workday, but like in small ways so that you get more comfortable with how to use it, what to ask, etc. So here's the deal at the top in the middle here. Human skills are still valuable. And in some cases, when people overuse AI, those human skills are becoming even more valuable because, as we've said, it's not always going to be right, et cetera. AI can help us process information, right? Get ideas, construct or organize our thinking, like help you organize or create a meeting agenda or those types of things. But people at the end of the day are the only ones that can provide emotional intelligence. AI can't do that. Critical thinking, relationship building, all of these things on the slide. So I want this to help you feel like, and all of you understand that there are things that it's not going to be able to do, and can't now, and in the future won't be able to, and at least not nearly as effectively as a human being, for sure. So, what we want you to think about on this next slide here is that there are technical skills and ways that you can use and leverage AI, just being a little bit more literate in how it can help you and your team and maybe your organization, how it can help you interpret data, and be more fluent just with digital assets, et cetera. But remember at the bottom here that the only skills, or I should say, the skills that only human beings can do or perform are being adaptable, communication, collaboration, all of these things at the bottom. AI is spitting out information from the internet. It is not performing critical thinking per se. So, this again is why please know that your job is not going to be replaced by it. You want to say, okay, how can I be more efficient with my time, generate more ideas, structure my thinking? Sometimes it can help you write an email that could be touchy that you need to send to someone in a better way, all of those good things. So, let's think on this next slide about jobs that will change more so as it relates to AI. Things like your administrative work that we all have to do, right? We've all got that regardless of our role, but AI can help us with it and it's going to adjust based on that. Routine data processing, content creation. Again, and let me just say something really quickly about the content creation. It's great for helping you with ideas for creating content, but I think we all know this. So I'm just going to reiterate it. People can tell when something's been written by AI. We are all more so able to tell, and it's not just the dash that it uses or those emojis and all of that other stuff, right? So just know that we never want you to just copy and paste AI into anything in terms of communication, content generation, etc. We always want you to edit and write it because, again, it's not always going to be correct. It's going to get or could get the facts wrong. And it's not going to have that personal human tone that you really need to have. So just keep that in mind as part of this. It always needs the human brain still. The last thing most likely to change is going to be repetitive information-based tasks. The things that are growing actually in value more now, and I don't want to totally say as a result of AI per se, but that's kind of as a result of it in a certain way because we don't want to move in the direction of overusing it. But leadership, AI can't be like a leader. Coaching and mentoring, it can help you with ideas here, questions you could ask people, suggestions you could make, but it's not going to take the place of it. And you can't just say, well, AI is going to be like my strategic career planning partner. Get ideas from it, but talk to a real person too. Relationship management, strategic planning, all of these things listed on the bottom right hand of the slide are things that human beings still have to do now. And I would argue it's always going to be that way. So the bottom line when we think about this is you want to think about skills leveraging AI that complements what you do and can help you be more effective. It's not replacing. Okay. And I think we all know too, as we look at these next couple of slides here, that when we've used AI before, it might be like it gives us some really good ideas and then some things where it's completely off. So again, that's why we have to double check everything. So the ways that you want to think about this, and you could start to think about your typical workday and say, okay, what are the things that are more routine for me? For example, that are more either administrative or routine that AI could help me with. Is it drafting emails and then obviously I review them? Is it processing or dealing with or managing data? So start to think about your typical workday, and you can even journal about this, for example, for the next week to do like a self-reflective assessment and say, okay, where can AI help me with these more routine like tasks over time to help you, if we look at this next slide, save time, improve or increase your productivity, increase your visibility within your organization by providing new ideas that you've kind of brainstormed with AI, perhaps. Learn things faster, find tools that can help you learn new skills more effectively, making better decisions, and creating higher value work over time by generating ideas, etc. So I'd love to do this next poll, and I feel like this one piggybacks a little bit on what we talked about before, but this one is a bit different because this poll is about describing your view of AI, and this is relevant as we've been talking about like the fears, concerns, etc.
And Hallie, while people are taking that poll, if you want to take a sneak peek, there's a lot of activity going on in the
I know,
chat. Maybe
I
you can
know.
highlight some things.
Yes, I know. I saw that and then it started to become a lot in a really good way. So let me just scroll down. Keep the human in the middle of the output. Absolutely. Critical thinking cannot be left out. Let me scroll down. Do. Okay. So this is a great point. If we can all take a look at this one, people were afraid of social media at the time and look at how things change, right? And how it's different now, which is exactly right. Technology can be scary at first. It's normal. But, and just like anything else, there's going to be pros and cons. And what we need to pay attention to is what are the pros here and be mindful of those cons. Overall, it can be really useful, just like AI. It just requires that human intervention and being really mindful and thoughtful about it. Another person is saying, how do computer science grads get into an entry-level role if the basic skills we have are being replaced by AI? So, what I would want you to look at is those soft skills as well, like we were talking about before. So, number one, and then we'll look at our poll results and I'll answer a few more of these too. Number one, demonstrate that you know how to use AI for some of those basic skills. So don't be avoiding, but just say, okay, I know what I need to do and how to leverage it in this way. So I would be talking about that. Focus on the other skills that AI cannot replace, including the strategic thinking, the problem solving, the, client interaction, those types of things that AI can't do. That's what you want to sell yourself on just a little bit more as well. Let's take a look at our poll here for a second. And yes, another person is kind of responding to this. One of the best ways is to demonstrate that you know how to use AI, but also how to vet it out. Um, okay, so if we look at our poll, exciting opportunity, I'm glad we've got positive attitude about it because that's how I feel. Again, you can stick your toe in the water and kind of do baby steps. Necessary but overwhelming. I totally understand that too. And I'll just say something about this really quickly. There is a learning process to kind of understand and figure out how to ask AI the right questions or word things in the right way in order to get the information that you need. So please, when you start practicing with it, or I know a lot of people are already using it, but you can start to generate like themes or certain questions that you're finding are really useful for you and your role in your situation and save those in a document because you can come back to those and make those adjustments when it's giving you the information that you need and working effectively. And I'm glad here as we look at this slide that I understand about concern for your career. Demonstrate that you know how to use it. But again, that human critical thinking is really, really important. And it looks like we've got some responses to the person regarding computer science as well. And I love this too, making project showcases, you letting or asking AI to do the coding, but you're using that critical thinking like a project manager and you're driving a product. Again, this is that showing your human skills, if you will. Let's take a look at this next slide, and then I'm going to comment on the next one that I see here too in the chat. So understandably, always need human thinking. I've heard from some that AI will always hallucinate. Yep. The more info they handle, the more they will, and that will never be fixed. Do I think that's true? I don't know that let me just say, I don't know that I think that it will get worse in that way. But here's what I do know is that AI wants to please you. So it likes to give you an answer that it thinks you might want. And this is again where you have to be careful with it because in more cases than not, it's going to agree with you. Not every single thing you say, but in a lot of ways. So in this way with the hallucination, yes, that is a possible problem. And this is again why, like when I use it, I'll be like, oh, that was a really good nugget. And this is a really good thought. But I know that this doesn't make any sense to what I'm trying to do this for. So again, remember that it is going to try to please you, so to speak. So again, you can't just take it with a grain of salt a little bit. Now let's look at, and I'll keep answering these questions too and comments. This is great. Signs that your career may need an upgrade. If you're spending a lot of time on admin tasks that are repetitive that you could get AI to help you with, if you're not using them at all at work, you can try them out. Again, remember, you can try something out. You don't have to use it necessarily. Do it in the right way that makes sense for you. If your industry is really adopting AI and rapidly changing, this is where we want to make sure that it makes sense here. If and when your job descriptions of jobs that you're looking at, let's just say if you are searching for a new job, if it's mentioning those a lot for your industry, and also if you're noticing that your colleagues are becoming a lot more efficient with AI, by the way, brainstorm ideas with other people. And I'm going to pull up this next slide here as I look at some of the other comments in the chat. Talk with your colleagues about how they're using it, what they found to be helpful, what they found to be not helpful. Organizations, in some cases, are starting to train their employees on how to leverage AI, where to use it, where to be careful. One of the things, and then I'll look at this next slide here, is you've got to be careful with confidentiality. So a lot of organizations, for example, are buying like a license through Microsoft for their own private, let's say, Copilot account, where that data supposedly is supposed to be like stored in-house, securely. I have a client though that she works with very sensitive information because she works with high level leaders at large organizations. And honestly, she worries about it, even though she pays for that kind of license. And I totally understand it. So when she uses AI, she puts in fake names of organizations, et cetera. Now, I do not think we need to go like to that extreme per se, but please know if you are in a sensitive like industry in any way, shape, or form, you want to be really careful about it and find out from your employer how they're handling those types of things. So, some ways that we can use AI right now, we've talked about some of these already. Networking, career research, job search, all that other good stuff. And then if we look at the bottom here for at work, emails, meeting summaries, Zoom has that built in, all of that other good stuff. So it can help you with brainstorming and researching and planning things out a little bit more. But like we said, we got to be careful about it. So these are some of the things depending on what kind of situation you're in right now, job wise and career wise, these are some of the prompts that you can use. You can ask it to do a lot of different things for you. I would encourage you to try your questions like in different ways and see what information you're getting like in a different way depending on how you're trying to use AI in that moment. And like we said earlier, save things that seem to be really good prompts for you. I will say one thing that one of our clients told us the other day that was interesting, kind of piggybacking on AI wants to please you, that he will tell the AI, whichever one he's using. I like to use Claude.ai for things where it's more research and like more in-depth thinking and ChatGPT, for example, with helping me with like writing emails, those type of things. So you might actually find that you like a certain service better than others. But going back to the client that I was just talking about, he will also tell it too, like, please write up this for me. And someone with like 20 years of experience in this industry is going to be reviewing your answers. Now, a consultant like came into his organization and talked to them about AI and said that it does make it think a little bit harder. Now, that's one person's story about it, but that is something that you can try to do to prevent it from just trying to give you an answer that you want to hear. But you do need to be careful about that too. Let's look at this next slide. Let's look at this a question here. If we do not want to educate the AI and want privacy, how do we ensure that we have unlinked the permissions? So one of the things for sure that you don't want to do here, is don't log in. I would also check, like, don't log in because it keeps your information that way. If you just use the free version, not logged in, that can help a little bit. Um, and outside of that, unlinking the permissions, I believe that the only way it's going to be linked to you is if you are logged in. If you're using this for work purposes, though, honestly, because I don't know, like with a work or corporate account, how to unlink it from you when you're using it as an employee, I would ask your employer about that one just to be safe. So if you're using it for your own personal purposes, um, one of the things you could do is make sure that you don't log in. But if it's work-wise, I would ask your employer to be safe because I think this is going to depend obviously on the application that they're using too. Another person is saying, which I've actually heard this as well, paid subscriptions often give you more privacy controls. But again, if this is going to be work related, definitely check with your employer first because you want to be really, really careful. Okay. These are great. And another person is sharing AI is a good thought starter, not a thought finisher, which is perfect. So, what we want to be careful about when we're looking at AI on this next slide is you don't want to make major career decisions based on what it tells you. It doesn't have nearly enough context. Evaluating company culture, and it can give you ideas about how to deal with certain like sticky situations or maybe how to navigate your culture a little bit within your organization. But again, it's not always going to be right. So you can ask it for ideas, but vet it out on your side. Um, Assessing leadership quality and being able to just automatically make you a better leader. No, it's not going to be able to do that. It's not going to be able to help you determine like personal fit for a promotion or new job or whatever, but it could help you brainstorm skills that you can get to that next level. Um, and you can help it or use it to help you navigate sensitive issues, like with ideas about what you could say or how to approach that person. But again, you don't just go with it, letter of the law. So it provides information for you. You provide the judgment as we've been talking about it. Um, I like the comment here, and then we'll look at this next slide about adding mental wellness to growing in value. Absolutely. I think that is huge, especially today too. And as someone else is saying too, we have to, as human beings, need to be responsible and ethical and all of that. So, really big deal there as we relate to and use AI. And if you're not sure about using it for a certain situation, don't do it. Ask your employer, find out a little bit more what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what kind of account you all are using, what's okay to do, what's not okay to do, but err on the side of caution. So, common mistakes, we've talked about these already, so I'll go through these just briefly. Trusting it without checking. You always have to verify everything, whether it's by using Google, some other research tool to make sure. Like I AI'd something the other day and it pulled up statistics from like the year 2000. And I was like, no, that's not right. It's not Google in the middle here. It doesn't retrieve real-time information per se. It's aggregating things that it can find on the internet from anywhere. So you want to be careful about whether it's pulling up not just factual information. Oh, because the other thing is it can pull up information from websites that are hokey and not, you got to be careful about that too. And remember on the right-hand side that prompting, um, is a really big deal. When you're more vague about what you're asking, you're going to get more vague output. So the more context you provide, the better off you're going to be. Again, not providing sensitive, confidential information. And yeah, this prompt engineering are really hot topics. Big deal here. And it is a good idea to have the prompt library. And this is where you can brainstorm ideas with other people. Another person is sharing here. And let me go to this next slide here real quick while I talk through that one and let you all read this. Yes, okay, good. Is saying they use initials and acronyms instead of real names. I highly recommend doing that just to be careful. So, sensitive information, do not put it in there. Always err on the side of caution there. Again, not using it to replace thinking completely. It can support your thinking. The best results come when it's like a thinking partner, not just like substituting for it. And by the way, if you try it out and try out like one or two prompts and it's not giving you the information that you need or we're looking for, et cetera, don't give up. Like try it in different ways. Um, and and like what you can do, and I hate to say it this way because like we want to be careful about it, but you can talk to it almost like a person, where if you look at the right hand side here, you can be like, no, that's not what I wanted. Make it shorter. Or no, I was looking for this instead. Make it more concise. Give me a different idea. Give me a different angle. It can, or those things can help you improve your results. So, in a way, pretend that you're talking to a friend to get it to give you the information that you want. Now, here's what I would say about this next slide here, and then we'll keep going with some possible action steps that people can start to take a look at, et cetera. And we've got plenty of time. We'll get to Q&A in just a little bit here too. It's better if you start to build AI a little bit more consistently into your workflow than using it haphazardly. It'll help you be more consistent with it, but also more efficient with your time. So if you can say to yourself, like we talked about at the beginning, and take a look at the bottom of this next slide here. Sorry, I was pointing to my second screen too. Is where and when could you start building this into your routine? Like, can it help you with your calendar for the week? Look at my calendar and analyze, where I've got slots of time that I can do ABC. Help me make a plan for how to tackle this project. Can you help me write up my meeting agenda for, these two meetings this week, whatever it is. So let's start to think about that now, because I'd like you to start to walk away today with and like, okay, I could start to help it, block out my calendar, manage my time, write some of my emails, et cetera. So let's start to think about that now, okay? And you could write down one or two things that you're either going to try out as something new or something that is more routine, again, during your workday, like we said. And some of our action steps that we want to think about, and then I'm going to go back to the chat here for just a second too, is to say to yourself, okay, let me just become more literate about AI. I'm not saying use it 24/7 all of the time, right? Like, how can I use it in the right way for my situation? As part of this, though, another action step to think about, especially when you're considering or concerned about, is it replacing some of the tasks that in the past I would be valued for? Strengthen and work on those human-centered skills, your leadership skills, your ability to work within a team, that ability for you to strategically plan, relationship management with your team, with clients, all of those other things. Okay. Try to stay curious and adaptable and open-minded about it, still cautious and smart, and continuously learn. This is where I feel like when people are networking, when you go to conferences, like we need to be talking with other people in our industry about how they're leveraging AI. Read the industry association blogs or articles that come out for your industry to learn how other people are using AI and appropriate uses of doing so. And at the bottom here, the human skill of being able to solve problems, like we said. So let's take a look at this next poll here. And I believe this is our last one for today. What's your biggest AI challenge? Someone in the chat, which I'm chuckling about because you're obviously self-aware, I often verify AI with another AI, bad habit. Yep, use Google or something else. And can it really be used to learn when it can possibly hallucinate information? It can, but so what you want to think about, and I know it might be like, well, if it's going to give me the wrong information, why would I use it? Because in some cases, it could give you a website that you didn't know about, or a new way of thinking about something, or a skill set that you hadn't considered that would be really good for your industry. So that's why it's like that idea generation that can come from it. So that's why it can help with that. Similarly, in the analysis, a researcher used AI, then realized it hallucinated, added, and deleted data. Yeah. So there might be times when you're like, okay, you have to go back and fix it. And is that taking more of your time than it would have if you generated it yourself? So this is the challenge that we have to kind of figure out what's the right balance here. And as we start to learn and understand what it can and can't do and what it could do, that's where we're learning how to use it in the right way. So you do want to be careful about it. And I absolutely agree, though, with what you're saying here, too. You want people to learn the skills first, know how to do those. Then that's how you'll be able to fact check and know if AI was right or not. If you don't know the skill in the first place, you're not going to be able to know the difference. All right, so these are really great. Take a look at the chat box, everybody, because I think these are awesome. Free AI engines starting at as we're finishing our poll here. I like ChatGPT and Claude AI. Those are the ones that, and I just use the free versions for now because I'm not putting confidential information in there. I'm careful with that. Google has Gemini. That's really good. There's a few comments in here about that as well. I know a lot of people use Microsoft Copilot. Um, and yes, tracing content is tracing the information back to you or also saving confidential information that you don't want other people to stumble upon. Those are the two things that we're looking at here. So let's take a look at our results here with our poll, and I'm going to actually hop to our next slide here. So you could take a look at that while we're also looking at our results. So knowing where to start, that is our lowest. So great, people are sticking their toe in the water already. Practical ways to use it. So perfect timing for this next slide is, okay, what tasks are basic, repetitive, or more administrative that I could start having AI do more frequently for me. So this is what you want to, you could even like, what am I trying to say? Not time block your time, but really deeply track your time for the next 5 work days so that you can say, okay, I'm spending this amount of time on these things and do a quick analysis. And by the way, you could ask AI to help you do this, where you could say, okay, these times of day, I would like to use it for this purpose, administrative, etc. Think too about what skills well outside of computer and AI, et cetera, make me uniquely valuable. What skills can I develop that are outside of, but also leveraging AI too? And how can I use it to increase my impact? So start to write down some answers for you there. Because finding practical ways to use it, again, it may be that you use it for like an hour every day at work, or maybe it's 3 times a week, or whatever makes the most sense for you. And then at the very bottom, where we've got the 28% are saying keeping up with changes, this is where I do think like um, checking with your employer and making sure that they're kind of helping you stay on top of, okay, what are they doing with their account? What else is going on? What are their guidelines and recommendations can be really, really helpful. But then also to make sure too that you're paying attention to what's going on within your industry so that you know, okay, this is the use of it and how to be careful with it as well. So we're sharing the poll results here just really quickly, and we'll go to this next slide. So here's what we want you to think about, and I'm going to close that out. Start small and specific. So repetitive tasks, some suggestions here. Like people will use AI to go through their email inbox and say, okay, what's going to be the highest priority? Or give me all the emails that relate to this project or whatever. It can help you prepare for meetings, etc. Create your own prompt library. We've already talked about this. You can talk with colleagues about what's been useful to them, but also find out from people at networking events as well, so that you don't feel like you have to start from scratch every single time. Build it into your existing habits. Like attach it to something that you already do. So maybe you're planning your week on Monday, and you are like, okay, let me figure out how to plan all of my Monday meetings or get it to help me deal with those agendas or create them. And in some cases, you can say, and honestly, I feel like I need to do this. I need to put a post-it note on my desk that says, try AI or remember that it's there. Because, like I said, for me, I don't always remember it's there as a tool. It's not always my first go-to. So try it as like, let me test that out first. At the end of your week, do a quick review. How did using AI go this week? What worked? What didn't? And you can try it for different purposes every single week. So this week, I'm going to try it for data. Another week, I'm going to try it for presentation prep, et cetera, so that you can start to expand and understand what it can actually do for you and where it can be helpful. And we've given you some ideas here for possible action plans, and I'd love to see these in the chat as well. Um, we always, just FYI, before we get to our Q&A, because I want to make sure we get to that, always offer a free consult if anyone would like to get more help with how to use AI with any situation that you're in, whether it's professional development, being more efficient, job search, etc. If you do set up a consult with me, and I'll put the link in here as well, please make sure that you let us know that you came from UIC and you're a fellow alum, because we do have discounts and want to make a package that works for you. So let's go ahead and write down one action step that you will take in the next week to improve your AI savvy. All right, so I'm going to look at some of these comments and questions that came through. Um, Students learning the skills first. Yep, we talked about that one. So that again, you know how to evaluate if it's right or wrong. In your prompt, you can guide it to use a published policy framework, research article. Yeah, this is great. So remember that you can upload things into AI and say, compare it to this document, or use this structure that's in this document, or copy and paste it. That was great. Thanks for sharing that, Patty. That's awesome. And then if we take a little bit further down, a team used to pull policy updates, but it still made mistakes. Yep. So it can save you some time, but you also have to make sure that everything is correct in there. Reducing time for a process to 30 minutes. That's awesome. And yes, of course, you can share the slides with your 4 kids, no problem. And yeah, kids need to learn how to use AI, but in the right way. So one thing I'll share, and I'm going to keep scrolling down here to see other questions that come through. So for example, like our son is going to college in the fall, and he has to take an AI course before he goes to school. It's mandatory. And that's great because they're teaching them how to use it in the right way, where it's okay, where it's not okay. And this is the same type of thing that we need to do with all of our kids, and employees and professionals as well. All right. Erasing identifying info. Got to be careful about that. Yep. Okay, so, oh, it looks like we've got some action steps coming through. Explore the different options that are available. Free AI engines to start at, ChatGPT, Gemini, we've got some answers there. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So, Patty, there's a lot in there. Did I miss anything? And I'd love to see, as we, before we close today in the next several minutes, more action steps. Rewatch this presentation. Okay, that's a good one. But Patty, did you see if I missed any, and also anything that you want to say while we're waiting for more action steps and questions too?
No, there was just some questions around some prompting. engineering tactics. Clear framework was one that was cited. I probably am not using that specifically, but the concept of a prompt is you can tell it, hey, I'm this persona. I'm preparing for said objective, and here are the questions I have. And then sometimes the, engine comes back with results and says, I could put this together in a one pager or an executive summary, or actually in a level up. It said to me once of a deliverable, and it created a PowerPoint deck for me on the spot, which I edited heavily, but at least it was a good start, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the only really comment to echo is that the human in the middle will always be there. Even when you're trying to automate, you can only automate to a certain point, or you still need that critical thinking skill set to be able to say, yes, I agree with the output or no. Um, so I don't think that the human in the middle concept is ever going to go away.
I don't think so either. And I love what you just said here because you can share your persona. Like, again, this is more detail to say, I am this, and I'm looking to, progress in my career or whatever it is. This is the client, let's just say, that I'm presenting to, and these are their needs. The more specific you get with it, it's going to help give even better answers. Again, you're still going to need to edit, but you can let them know what persona, what the situation is, all of that, and that will help you with better answers. And this is where, with like career progression, it can come in handy if I'm doing this, et cetera, and I want to move into this, ABC leadership role in a year. What are the things that I ought to be doing? And then again, you double check it, but it gives you those ideas. And yeah, I've used it for PowerPoint presentations. Like you can use it for so many different things. And I don't know about you all, but I tend to work better when I have something to start with, like versus starting from scratch. And this is where I feel like when we think about AI, that's a way to think about it. It's not giving you and handing you the finished product, but it's giving you something to start with so that you're not like stuck, like, oh, I don't know where to start. So that's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any other questions, or do we want
I
to
have I have
wrap
a
it
question.
down?
I
Sure.
do have a question. Earlier you said that you can tell when somebody uses AI, and some things are obvious, like the dash especially. I have learned that certain AI tools use modern or current day language, so you can tell if there's a dash or if they're using lingo from today. But how else are you able to tell that you've used AI, especially for like a resume or even social media content?
Sure. So there's two ways that we hear. So number one, like in a more formal way, which is a little bit less relevant to your question, but like for students and their papers and, like organizations that are worried about this, there are platforms that they use and they can run information through and find out immediately if it's been written by AI or not. More for your situation, the dash, as you said, is one kind of obvious thing. It's frustrating to me because I loved using dashes well before AI. And I'm like, well, that's just what I always did. But there's a tone and a cadence that as you start to read, and like, for example, HR managers that we work with, they can tell because it's written like in the same way and it's just very similar sounding to other people's resumes. There's like a tone and a cadence and words that it tends to like to use. So that's where, again, here's what I find is if you just go in and like edit it like into your tone of voice, you'll be fine. But
Okay.
there's software that can do this, but also just
Mm-hmm.
human beings who read
Mm-hmm.
through this type of stuff a lot, whether it's resumes, etc. They can just start to tell because it sounds like a computer and there's like a tone it uses.
Yeah, so there's the difference between plagiarism, which I completely understand, especially with people's papers, and I think more on the professional side when with resumes, it would actually tell you that this is kind of the same, or you sound like you made this up, and it's like, well, that's how I normally talk, actually. But to your point about using your own way to edit the content to make it more personable, actually makes sense. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it's a really good one. There's a
Fantastic.
great comment in the chat about the environmental impact, which I know it's all over the news. People are concerned about it, the data centers, everything else, and related to just all of this. So I know this is where the human beings we have to regulate it and pay attention to what's going on. So before we go, baby steps, everybody. Like we said, be careful with it. It's not going to take over your job. It doesn't have to. We're not asking you to do that. We want you to use it as a partner in your success. And we have individual coaching. I'm happy to talk with anybody about that to figure out if it's the right thing for you or not. It may make sense at this point. It may be for later. We help people with their job search and career transition as well as leadership coaching. So those are kind of our three areas. And we have group coaching and lots of other things. And we love what we do. So happy to talk with anyone if they feel like they need more support with whether it's AI related or not, by the way, because it goes across the board. And I would love it if you would say to yourself, like we said on the left-hand side, okay, I'm going to try this out next week. These are the three things I'm going to see what happens when I use it. And it's okay to try it in some way and be like, okay, that wasn't helpful or whatever, and skip it for that task. That's totally fine. But test the water so that you can use it in a way that makes sense for you.
First, I want to thank you, Hallie, for all the support. You've always given us gracious time and great content. And we're very proud that you're a UIC alumni and just so excited that you keep coming back. But to close this out, the Alumni Board and our Alumni Career Services Committee is focused on bringing you career-focused opportunities and learn and connect. If you haven't already, I encourage you to go to UIC Connected, which is UIC's exclusive online networking and professional development platform. And you can visit us at connected.uic.edu. So hopefully you'll join us. Thank you so much.
Please do. Thank you, everybody. Good luck. And thanks for the kudos. We really appreciate it. Have a good day.